Okay, we're officially live, Sam.
Is it just the two of us, or are we live on?
We are live on Substack and on YouTube right now.
It's kind of a bummer. I can't see the comments.
You can see the comments. They should come through on the side here as it connects.
Ah,
Uh, it's a little bit of a different setup, but people are starting to join. So
you
we'll see how
sure?
this looks. Yes. Substack. So if you're just joining, Substack has beta released a link for us to stream this through a different platform, and they're going to be rolling it out in the next couple months. But we were lucky enough to be one of the first to get a stream key. And I can see here, hello, my dudes from Catherine Garza. So comments are starting to come through, and but it's a totally different setup. So how you doing today, Sam?
I'm good. I'm grateful to Catherine for letting us know we're not alone here. It
No,
really,
we're not. The number will catch up. It just bounced from 0 to 1 to 3, but it's I can see on my phone it's live on Substack. So
okay.
we are indeed live.
So it's the two of us and three sexy patriots.
No, it looks like there's about 120 people. So
Ah,
folks are
gotcha,
feeding in. It's notifying folks over email too that
gotcha.
we're live.
Actually, no, I'm feeling great. I was very relieved to see that it was you calling and not Tom Homan's wife again.
Ah,
I'm gonna have to change my number. She's relentless.
yeah. I would say if for folks that are just tuning in, if you haven't read the newsletter yet today, the first opening is a conversation that took place between Sam and Tom Homan's wife.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. Tom Homan, the poor dear, is whining and crying that his family has been separated. I'm sure there's nobody out there that knows what that feels like. So yeah, we asked around, and it turns out that Tom's wife isn't feeling the same disappointment at being separated from Tom that he is from her. Of course, this is one of our fake interviews, I should probably say, so I don't get sued. Uh, although,
It was not real as far as
yeah.
we know.
Yeah, as far as we know, I mean, the person calling us, it might not be Mrs. Holman.
Um, but it might be. Who
Hey,
knows?
Julie, you're not alone either.
Wait, are you able to see comments now? I actually
Yeah.
kind of like that this is like different and like a little more informal. And that we're one of the first on Substack to actually get to try this out, which I think will be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I'm uploading some clips right now. Some of them, one or two of them, were in the newsletter today, but some of them have happened since then. And I don't know if you have seen Lindsey Graham or Tom Cotton's reactions, but I'm going to save those for a little bit later in the show after we make our way past some of the Hexa stuff. But anything that you want to talk about before we get into these, they're about 10 seconds away from all being uploaded in the studio.
Yeah, I don't know if you probably didn't get to this one, but we're definitely putting it in the newsletter tomorrow. The Queen of the Netherlands was caught making fun of Trump's face. And
I
it's one of
saw
the, I
it.
swear to God, it's like one of the funniest clips I've ever seen in my life. It's also a good reminder that women don't put up with Trump shit. They stand up to him, or they mock him or ridicule him. It's the dudes that can't stop kissing ass, like the head of NATO calling Trump daddy. Like, Jesus Christ, man, get some fucking self-respect. Like,
It's
I've
so
never.
true. I saw that clip last night, and I think I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I showed it to Allie this morning. She hadn't seen it, but they're like 2 inches apart. And I literally love after Trump talks, she goes, like, but she did it actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was really funny. Yeah, that's the best one I've got for today. Everything else, man. Yeah, I guess we could start with a reminder that there are still about 5,000 U.S. troops deployed to Los Angeles. So I'm coming to you from an occupied city. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing here, except maybe just kind of standing around guarding some federal buildings. Um, we actually do have some fires going on in California, so it'd be nice if the National Guard could get deployed there. Um, but yeah, man.
Yeah, real
You know,
stuff.
it's
I
a
mean, it's like
yeah.
people forget this is actually happening where you are. And I was just rereading that Guardian story about the sort of police state that we become. I mean, this is what you see in Russia, right? These
Yeah.
masks all over these federal agents.
I think the thing that really upsets me is how quickly we get used to this shit. Like, I wonder what percentage of Americans are even aware that there are still Marines in LA. Like, that's the thing about being in LA is like it just the East Coast media does not care unless we're on fire, and even then they don't usually get it right. So to be Trump's guinea pig when it comes to deploying troops against Americans, and for a large percentage of Americans to not give a shit, uh, is pretty damn disillusioning. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that I mean, that is such a good point. But I mean, I really think that what has it only been like? Is it 2 weeks since LA started? And
I think
people
three.
forget,
I
right?
mean, longer than
3?
that. Hell, the No Kings rally was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then
It's probably
everyone
been about
just
a month, really.
moves on as if it never happened.
I know. I have no
Okay,
concept of time in Trump land. It's like, everything's just dumb as shit. That's how we measure time now.
if anyone's just tuning in, so we're trying out a new stream key, which allows us to do different things, including play some videos today. Substack gave us early access. They're beta testing it, and we're also live on YouTube. So Sam, I know we've got 2 clips from Hegseth. I'm going to post the first that I was actually able to download,
All right.
and in case anybody missed this part. But I would like to get your reaction to this.
This
So
is how
let's
you can
pull it.
tell it's not a. This is how you can tell it's not a real therapy session because Pete Hegseth would never get in the fucking door for my therapy sessions.
Yeah, or Lindsey Graham or Tom Cotton.
Although I
But
think
we
all
do.
three of those fellows could use some therapy of their own.
I totally agree, and we do have a little Chris Murphy here today too. But we also have Caroline Levitt. So, all right, here we go with Hegseth.
CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates, it also goes on to say, new intelligence from historically reliable and accurate sources and methods. Now, you can imagine. You can imagine the CIA director is going to be very careful about how he articulates things of that sensitivity. Classified, secret, top secret, compartmentalized. He's going to know things that you're not going to know, that the press isn't going to know. And he's reflecting that the sources he's seeing are highly credible. They've given credible intelligence. They or those processes have given credible intelligence in the past. And that's what he's basing it on.
You think we need to see that?
Do you have a top secret clearance, sir?
Eventually,
Okay.
the American public wants
Yes,
to see
sir.
it.
Yes. Yeah, you.
I wanted to ask briefly just.
No, not you. Checkered shirt.
Oh.
Right there.
So Mike, Glenn, with
And Sam, before you comment on that, we're going to go to one more really quickly.
I've seen that suggests that what we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations.
That's not the question, though. It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging
You
that
have
this was the
issues.
first the most successful
I did.
mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So
absolutely
we're
do.
looking at all aspects of intelligence.
What do you think, man? What do you got to say?
I'm gonna have to put my head back together after it just exploded. Man, it sure is shocking that Pete Hegseth is being an abusive dickhead to a woman, right? I mean, like he doesn't have that reputation at all. Especially Jennifer Griffin, who has forgotten more about national security than passed out Pete will ever fucking know. This abusive bullshit from these lying assholes. The press has got to start doing more of what Griffin just did, which is standing up for themselves. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And the more White House reporters give it away, like, for example, today during the briefing, I don't know if you've got this clip, but Caroline Levitt again attacked CNN's Natasha Bertrand. Natasha is like one of the best national security reporters there are. Do you know how many White House reporters stood up for Natasha and the accuracy of her reporting? That many. Why would anybody respect a bunch of chicken shit cowards who don't respect themselves? If they're too afraid to defend themselves, then you know they're too afraid to defend the truth. And at some point, they just become props or tourists and or groupies even. And it becomes pointless even having them there. They just become part of the theater. And to
I think
watch.
tourists is what you called them last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Hegseth just makes me ill. This is a man who's not remotely qualified to be in that position, but he doesn't let that stop him from being the most arrogant chode on the fucking planet. And it's like, thanks for calling us in person, but we could have done this over a signal chat, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, I mean, most folks know this, but like Jennifer Griffin is not only a serious authoritative reporter, but she's probably one of the best that Fox News has. And
Yeah.
this is literally his former colleague. I saw one person comment online and say something, like clearly she wasn't willing to have an affair with him. I mean, this is an inside, view of the dynamic of how men treated women at Fox News.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is Jennifer's been in prime time. Pete was he was a weekend host. He wasn't even on the A team. But yeah, it sickens me. And look, this is sure as hell not the first time a White House has tried to say, hey, if you question our approach, then you don't support the troops. And it was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now. The idea that a 5-time draft dodger who calls troops suckers and losers and couldn't stop shit talking John McCain is more supportive of the troops than the rest of us, that's absolute horseshit. Absolute
Right.
horseshit. And the idea, I don't know. I keep waiting for somebody to really push back against this just nonstop stream of bullshit. And it hadn't happened yet, but any day now,
Yeah.
right?
And it also it's an interesting glimpse into the caliber that you could have picked from Fox News, right? If you had Jennifer Griffin leading the Pentagon, if they were going to choose somebody from Fox, this would be a very different DOD. But we are. But speaking of Carolyn Levitt, I'm going to pull up a quick clip here.
I like that we're doing these clips so our sexy pagers can see how filled with rage I get when I see them. It's
yeah.
it's
Well, I think that's a good thing. It's a
really
therapy
fun
session.
exercise.
We're supposed to get that out here in this private room that is being publicly broadcast.
Right.
But also there's a couple I think that are sort of breaking news and brand new as we've been going. But I'll throw her up on the screen quickly and we'll go from there.
Desk. So it was a great meeting, and Republicans are very unified. And we also talked about the mayoral race in New York City and how the victory of the Democratic primary candidate really shows how far left and unhinged the Democrat Party has become. And Republicans truly are on the right side of every issue in this country. We are on the side of no men in women's sports, on the side of low taxes, secure borders. So that was the topic of discussion. And the unity was strong and the camaraderie was high. And I know everyone looks forward to being here at the White House for the bill signing.
So obviously this isn't the clip about Natasha, but this is her talking about the mayor's race. And I thought it would be malpractice for us not to talk about the mayor's race while we're on.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about it. I think the thing to keep in mind is that if Zoran Mamdani had attacked the U.S. Capitol and beat some cops with the American flag, Caroline Levitt would be kissing his ass. The fact that he wants to lower costs for people, the fact that he wants to feed hungry people, the fact that he wants to bring people together, the fact that he wants to raise taxes on the uber rich, which is why they're freaking out, which is a big reason why they're labeling him an anti-Semite. I don't know. I don't wear a cross around my neck and pretend to, follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, but Caroline Levitt does. And she might want to reread the Bible because she seems to be missing a lot of shit there.
Yeah. And I mean, as somebody who does wear a cross occasionally, just sort of depends, but I also have, skin that gets irritated. I don't wear one that looks like Jesus was hung from it, Yeah, we go to church.
I'm not saying I don't go to church. I just don't wear a crucifix.
I do. Yeah. I also wear a Ukrainian Orthodox. I was an altar boy growing up. So spent a lot of time doing that. But
I'm learning so much about you during our therapy session today.
That's what we do. We share private information.
It's funny. I was an altar boy,
Um,
but for the
I
first
was, yeah,
Satan.
every summer for 3 months in Rochester, New York. Got a
Wow.
Ukraine, big Ukrainian community up there, but that's where I spent my summers with the family. So I just want to point out too. I mean, for folks that are like, "Oh, this guy can't win," well, like when we're talking about the
He did.
establishment, AOC beat the establishment.
Yeah.
She actually beat one of the sort of most authoritative and long-term establishment Democrats who was really, great on labor and others, Joe Crowley. But primaries are important. It gives, voters an option, and AOC won that and went on to win. So I think that, well, the current mayor is announcing his candidacy today. Everyone should just stay focused on voting for the Democrat and getting behind them and making sure that everyone's going to do that, because we know even when people say someone like AOC can't win, they can. We just need to do our part and get out the vote for them.
Yeah. And, I want to talk for a second about this accusation of anti-Semitism against Mondami. I'm not Jewish. I sympathize with the fear that I think a lot of American Jews have these days. Um, I think they're right to be afraid. We have seen a dramatic rise in anti-Semitism. To me, the larger concern is from white nationalists and neo-Nazis. Those are the people I see marching. Those are the people I see wearing hoods and masks. I don't believe that Brad Lander or Jerry Nadler or any of the other Jews in New York who voted for Mamdani would do so if they thought he was an anti-Semite. I think that is a term that is used to, I mean, it's got its place, but I think we have to be careful. We don't want to
Yeah.
lose credibility because it is a real threat. When I see the richest of the rich, when I see mainstream media editorial pages going after Mamdani like he was the one who attacked the Capitol, my antenna goes up, and I start to say, "No, wait a minute. What's really going on here? Why are all of these people on the same page going after this dude?" I think one really helpful tool to use during the Trump years is to look to your left and to look to your right. If the people standing next to you are good people, you're probably on the right side. If the people standing next to you are the same assholes who are supporting Trump and the evil shit that he's doing, then you might be on the wrong side. Okay. Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
I,
Republicans are literally pushing images of the Statue of Liberty in a burqa to try to
it's
scare people.
it's sick. I mean, it's really sick. It's the kind of Islamophobic shit that we saw right after September 11th, and it was wrong then, and it's wrong now. I mean, we are a
And in the
multicultural
2016
society.
campaign,
Yeah,
like you and I,
yeah.
we've talked about this a lot, but right, votes are not being changed in the voting booth, but perceptions of voters can be changed. And in 2015 and 2016, Trump and his folks, and obviously, GRU and Russia and others spent tons of time trying to get people to believe that Hillary was involved in the Muslim Brotherhood because of
Yeah.
Huma.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, and Obama, oh, he's got a funny name. He must be a Muslim. I mean, we've seen this same tired shit over and over and over again, and it's always the candidate who's standing with the people and not the billionaires. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a coincidence. I don't. Now, look, I
And
will
the other,
keep. I was just say I'll keep an open mind. I know some of our readers feel that way, and I'll continue to listen to their concerns. But my personal feeling is this is a strong candidate who's doing the things we've talked about Democrats needing to do, attracting young voters, communicating, the parts of the plank of our platform that we're really proud of. To me, this is somebody we should be rallying around. But I'm not going to just, outright dismiss the concerns of people that, I know are scared.
yeah, totally. And I mean, the thing is like there was a fair primary, and this is who those that live there voted for.
Yeah.
Um,
And he got more votes than like a dozen U.S. senators.
yeah. I think the other thing that's sort of interesting right now, just for all of us to pay attention to, but Republicans are really good at trying to make it seem like if you don't like one thing, that means you don't like everything. And so they're doing this whole push where if you don't like Netanyahu, who is a criminal, you are anti-Israel, right? And you can be pro-Israel and anti-Netanyahu, just like you can be pro-America and American democracy and anti-Trump.
Yeah.
So they're giving that their best effort, but just another thing that they're throwing at the wall to see if it sticks.
It's one of those
Just
areas
before,
where I wish we could give each other a little grace. Like I wish we could,
we need more grace.
withhold the urgent, the urgent desire to brand somebody with a label, and just take a beat and like hear what they're saying, hear their explanations. And if you still feel that way, cool. I'm not gonna, try and
Or
dissuade
take
you.
a couple beats, because I don't
Yeah.
think that I have publicly criticized Bernie Sanders since 2020. Maybe earlier. It's been
I
a
think
while.
I have.
But I don't know. I don't always agree with stuff, but I just, I'd rather spend more time focused on, exposing Republicans than going after them.
Yeah, I mean, they are getting ready to, take a hatchet to Medicaid if they, well, I mean, thanks to the Senate parliamentarian, we may be okay, but my sense is they won't be deterred.
Thanks to the Senate parliamentarian, we may be okay, but she might not be okay.
And thanks to
So
Senator Ron Wyden and his staff for really going to war over that stuff. And I got to tell you, Wyden, I like that guy. He posted that picture, that altered picture of JD Vance looking like a baby. He posted it yesterday, and I was cracking up. I was just like, yes, this is what I want. More of this kind of trolling from U.S. senators. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, totally. And he's a name that doesn't come up that much, but he's been a staple for years. And it's nice to see people who, really have their footing in the Senate standing up and not just trying to act like this is the old Senate that they used to be a part of.
Yeah, there's still way too many of them that think that way.
I totally agree. So I got two clips. I'm just going to play them back to back. I'll start with Cotton and then go to Lindsay. But it's really interesting to see how Republicans are now trying to frame all of this post Jennifer Griffin this morning. It's amazing that Americans believe this stuff, but obviously they do because we have Donald Trump. So we'll start with the shorter one.
Here's where we're at. The program was obliterated at those three sites, but they still have ambitions. I don't know where the 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium exists, but it wasn't part of the target set.
Are you concerned that in light of that several years, when the administration is saying this is obliterated, it suggests that they're not able to build a weapon. But you're saying in several years, perhaps they'll be able to. Isn't there
that's what I'm saying. They're obliterated today, but you can reconstitute. I don't want people to think that the site wasn't severely damaged or obliterated. It was. But having said that, I don't want people to think the problem is over, because it's not.
I was going to say, let's do these back to back, but I don't want to miss any good responses about Lindsay. So I'm just going to let you focus on him to start.
Lindsey Graham.
I mean, you might have been there privately with us all along. I don't know. We'll find out one day. But
oh man, Lindsay's going to get a talking to. I think I wonder, like, if as long as you say the word obliterated 7 or 8 times, does that keep you off the shit list? 900 pounds of enriched uranium is kind of a big deal, and. Oh my God! If you've lost Lindsey Graham, then who's left, right?
Yeah, and I've been thinking this whole time, like, what's interesting to me is I come from a family who spent a lot of years working at DIA, and the folks at DIA are really good. Every once in a while, you've got a bad apple like Michael Flynn, who is over there.
You should tell people what DIA stands for.
A Defense Intelligence Agency.
Not everybody's a Beltway nerd like us.
Yeah, well, I only know it because my dad used to, get to work at like 5 a.m. when he was over there. But it's where the presidential helicopters take off over at Bowling. It's basically connected to Bowling. For anyone in DC or in the DC area that's visited, that goes to MGM. It's on the way on your right side. But DIA is it's one of these agencies where C comes after, or D comes after C. So you would think CIA, DIA, we've heard of DIA. No one really has ever heard of DIA, but they are incredible. And they've got really good folks that have been there for their entire careers, 5, 10, 20, 30 years working there. And what really strikes me about this is I don't think it's quite hit Trump that he's going against DIA and lying about what happened, which makes it harder for him to do further strikes in the future. Right? Like he could say we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. However, certain things were moved and we're going in again, or that leaves us the opportunity going again, because clearly when he announced that we were going to go in, they decided to move a bunch of shit. So he's really got his hands sort of tied here on this.
Yeah, he's such an egomaniac that he can't see past the the immediate. And so, it never occurs to him, what if we've got to do another bombing mission? Like, well, why would you have to do that if the program was obliterated the last time, like you repeatedly said? And it's just, and you almost have to give him credit because it's worked for him so far. We have a press corps that has the memory of a goddamn goldfish, and they forget what he did 15 seconds ago. So you can understand why he thinks that he's living Groundhog Day, where he's the only one that's living this, he's the only one who remembers what's happening. God, people drive me
I
fucking
really
crazy.
loved, I mean, even though it's not in the best interest of our country, I do really love that clip where he walked out and he looked like shit and he didn't have his tie on and he's cursing and looked like he went on a bender. He's not in a good place, but watching Netanyahu, walk him like the dog he is, it just shows how easy it is for people to control him by just throwing up, the little mission accomplished sign and giving a speech after the strike that was literally just filmed and directed at him and nobody else. Mr. President, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, did you see him say that Mom Donnie looks terrible? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, what does he need? Like a pound of orange makeup to like really look good? Like, I'm curious what good looks like in Trump's eyes. Like, to me, decorating the Oval Office like one of Saddam's fucking palaces makes that place look tacky as shit. But
which, by the way, we know was plaster from Home Depot that was spray painted gold.
I mean,
I don't know if it was you, Sam, or someone else, but someone said the other day between the flagpole and that, like, if you want to be first lady, be first lady, right? We'd probably be a lot safer if you just focused on like the little like putting green and the flags going up and the plaster and the pictures. I mean, that's like seems to be what he spends the bulk of his time doing.
Yeah, he wants to be an interior designer, designing the West Wing of the White House. And you know what? I'm fine with that as long as he stops being president first and lets us choose somebody else. I mean, it's just, look, it's fucking embarrassing. And I think the only thing that's even, more embarrassing is the White House press corps that largely ignores it. I mean, it was a big deal when Barack Obama put in a playground for his kids, for his 2 young children. Trump took a goddamn bulldozer to the Rose Garden. I tell you, that really, one of the great honors of my life was being able to take my grandfather and my mom to the White House and to show them the Rose Garden, to show them, the roses that Jackie Kennedy planted, and to watch a trashy, classless, scum of the earth game show host take a bulldozer to, a little piece of our nation's history. It makes me ill. Makes me ill. By the way, is anybody watching this? I kind of miss the old format where I could tell like if people were digging this or not.
We're going to have a look. I'm doing it right now. Check it out. Look, I see you, Sam. Catherine's up on the screen now. We just added Catherine. Some. And then Brian Jordan had 2 comments to which we agree with. He's a stupid, malignant narcissist, 100%. And Brian also said he's a wannabe dictator, the parades, the gilded walls. Couldn't agree more.
Man, I don't even know if it's wannabe anymore. He might have actually achieved it.
Yeah, well, that's true. BB and Butthead. I like that too, Brian.
I thought they were talking about us.
But Sam, we do have a bunch of people that are in
dynamic going on here.
I love that one. We do have folks like Brian and others that are coming through YouTube. Again, Substack is in the beta stage, so thank you guys that are on Substack right now watching. Substack gave us a key to this as they're testing it out, and we're proud and excited to be one of the first accounts doing this. However, the comments feeding in is something that they're working on. So, but at least it gives us the opportunity to kind of have some of these other clips, or not, because our next one is Tom Cotton. So let's go to him.
We'll stop and explain the reason. Do you have some sense of where the enriched uranium is at this point? Has the intelligence community figured that out at this point?
I don't have a comment on that. I will say it was not part of the mission to destroy all their enriched uranium or to seize it or anything else. Again, this is not a mission.
Okay, so Sam, this is one that I was hoping you hadn't seen before we got on.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I mean,
how stupid.
What was the mission? what
I'm literally waiting for them to say, we got it all, but they just started enriching uranium again, and they've gone from 0 to 60 in a month, quicker than anyone has ever done. We know you can go from 60 to 90 quick, right? But if we got it all, what are they going to say next? But
Well, not
obviously,
just that, but now
they can't say that.
Iran has real incentive to build a bomb and zero incentive to negotiate because they know 2 weeks is bullshit. They know Trump negotiating is bullshit. I'll tell you, I wasn't really worried about an Iran nuclear program until Trump tried to take it out and missed. But I love this new line from Lindsay and Cotton. It's like, who gives a shit about 900 pounds of enriched uranium? That's not what this is about. It's about the friends we made along the way. And,
Yeah. And
you know,
also the other thing is, to your point just now, we're in a position where they may not even have to build it if Russia just gives them one.
yeah, it's
And
it's
and the
so
fact that
it's so
Donald Trump
it's so
phrased that with,
circular,
did they
right?
just use the N-word? Like,
Oh,
okay,
I know
buddy,
that
you're
makes
the
me
one that uses the
really,
N-word, and it's
yeah.
not nukes.
Yeah, it's so circular, and it really sort of reveals how utterly clueless Trump is. Like, he cannot conceive of the idea that Russia is helping Iran and that Iran is helping Russia. Like, he sees it as friends. Like, Putin is his friend, the Ayatollah is not. And it just, the idea that they could be working in tandem, undermining American interest, it just never crosses his mind. He thinks he's so savvy, and he's really just, I'm sorry, but he's just dumb, just dumb.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And
So
I'm really
with
not that
that,
sorry.
me either. With that, we're gonna go to a more normal person here.
Are we getting?
Wait, go back. What'd you say?
I was saying, are we getting any questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Substack app right now.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about anything from the briefing. I mean, I walk away from that briefing still under the belief that we have not obliterated the program. The president was deliberately misleading the public when he said the program was obliterated. It is certain that there is still significant capability and significant equipment that remain.
Knowing what you know now, would you have authorized it? Knowing
Trump lied. I'm gonna do my Home Alone face. Yeah, props to Chris Murphy though for not mincing words and being damn clear that Trump was just flat out lying to the American people. I do wish, instead of saying he was not truthful, we just straight up calling him a lying son of a bitch. But that may be more me than a U.S. senator, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, could be, but Chris Murphy's been doing a great job, as obviously has Maxwell Frost.
Yeah, I'm
I'm getting some questions fed without the names though. Sam, what do you think is going to happen next in terms of Iran and Tel Aviv?
It's a great question.
If you had to
have no
guess
idea.
based on some of your
Yeah.
your background
I mean-
as a White House reporter and others.
I mean, I would say the least likely is that the ceasefire holds. I don't know. It really depends on Israel, right? Like, I think Iran wanted this off ramp. Like, I think they were hit hard. And I do think they want to, stop being killed by bombs. But the idea that there won't be further retribution seems like a hard sell to me. But, trying to guess what's going to happen next in Trump land is a fool's errand because who the hell knows?
And then, Sam, from Julie, do you think that a lot of this going on is just a distraction from the big ugly bill?
I never really know how to respond to, is this a distraction? Because I don't think Trump's smart enough to create distractions. And I don't ever hear it's sort of like the ICE stuff, like, oh, this is a distraction. Well, it's still worth fighting. Like, even, to me, you've got to fight them everywhere on every issue. In a perfect world, are we only talking about how Republicans are going to screw over Medicaid recipients, how they're going to screw over the poor to help the rich? Yeah, absolutely. But, we're playing on the field that we've got. And on the field that we've got, the people we're playing against are shooting 100 shots a day, and we've got to try and stop every one of them. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction from a healthy, normal, happy life that we're all supposed to be leading. But that doesn't mean we don't fight it, right? If the
No,
president of the
that's
United
true.
States is if the president of the United States is illegally conducting strikes in the Middle East and he's lying to the American public about it, I'm fine having that debate. I'm fine reminding people that Republicans got us into the Iraq War based on lies. I'm fine reminding people that it's a bunch of rich assholes who send the poor people to go fight for them. I don't ever mind having that fight, especially with some draft dodging pansy who, you know, claims to support the troops and want peace. I think that's absolute horseshit, and I'm eager to have that fight.
And I think, as you've asked a few times, when is Barron deploying?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's it. When is Barron Trump going? When is Don Jr. going? He wants to play with guns so bad, he can enlist and go play with guns.
Sam, Phyllis on we've hundreds and hundreds of folks on Substack here.
Nice.
Phyllis says ripping nursing babies from their mother's arms is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. And it's the kind of thing that if we saw another country doing it, we'd be calling it evil and talking about sending in UN peacekeepers. But it's our country doing it. And honestly, man, I don't know what y'all are doing for 4th of July, but I'm struggling this year. It's damn hard to be proud to be an American right now. I just remember that, Americans also include people like Phyllis who are saying this shit isn't right. I living in LA, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's almost like divulging OPSEC. Um, but you've seen in Los Angeles, the community sort of quietly behind the scenes look for ways to warn neighborhoods that ICE is coming, look for ways to help people who are being targeted. There's still a lot of good in America, and we're going to need it. We're going to need it marshaled. We're going to need it together because there's a lot of fucking evil in this country too. And right now it's having a field day.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Okay, I'm actually really excited because I think I'm starting to figure this out. Okay, from Substack. This is. I was worried it was going to cut us
I'm
off.
excited
If I
too.
open the app. I'm really excited. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you this question, and then I'm going to pull myself off the screen for a second so I can pull my phone charger right here. But from Substack, Jan Brown, Sam, what is the most effective message from us at Trump and defeating Trump?
Stop the
Or
chaos.
taking on Trump.
Stop the chaos. It's chaos from the middle of the night throughout the entire day. It's Americans. I do not believe Americans want this. I think they want to be able to forget that the president exists and live their own damn lives. To me, it's a nice umbrella term for everything he does. That way we don't have to get hung up on what's a distraction or what's not, because it all fits under this subject of chaos. I think of like the 2006 midterms when Democrats ran against a culture of corruption was what they called it. And it was perfect because a number of things congressional Republicans were doing fit under that umbrella. So you didn't have to go off message to hit them on whatever the most recent development was. And if you remember, I know I'm nerding out on an election that was like 20 years ago, but if you remember, in October of that year was the famous Congressman Jared Foley stuff out of Florida, where we found out he'd been
Mark Foley.
Mark Foley, excuse me. I'm thinking of the
Can I
subway
tell you?
guy,
Let me
which
tell you
is
why I
kind of the
remember
same
that.
thing.
Let me tell you why I remember that, because I used to work for 3 years at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and I think that he was like one of their biggest advocates. No
Jesus.
surprise,
Yeah.
before this all came out. So when I first started working there, we heard quite a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so anyway, just to finish that point, when it came out in October, a month before the election, that he was this, super creep, they didn't have to pivot their messaging to focus on him. Instead, they had already established this theme of a culture of corruption. And then the breaking Foley news, it just, it fit right into that. That to me, my advice for any Democrat running right now is, one, be able to talk to people. Two, promise to stop the chaos or at least stand up to it. And then three, and forgive me, this is a really crude way of putting this, don't be a pussy. Stand for something. Defend it. Be willing to talk about it. Don't be afraid. Don't do things on Republican terms. If a reporter comes to you and they're framing it like a Republican would, ask them why. We've got to stop reacting and we've got to start going on offense. You know, there are a handful of Democrats out there who are doing that. But I don't know. I feel like we are constantly playing on Republican terms, on a Republican battlefield, and that has got to stop.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was while you were saying that, I was trying to see if Mark Foley's seat was the one that ended up going to Matt Gaetz. I can't remember, but
You know what's
for
fucking
some
crazy
reason
is
I thought it
Foley's
was
a member at
4-1.
Mar-a-Lago. Like he's still around. He's like still hanging out.
I mean, all of these guys, right? Denny
know, man.
Hastert, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
some are gone now,
None
but
of them trans, by the way.
no.
Yeah.
Hold on, we got another question for you. Also, someone wanted you to weigh in on the zip tying yesterday. There were a bunch of members of the disability community that were both at the Capitol, the Hart Senate building, and they were zip tied
Yeah.
for speaking out
it's like
for
a
Medicaid.
it's like a fucking Lee Greenwood song, right? I mean, aren't you just so proud to be an American when these folks in wheelchairs are making the trip to DC to ask the federal government not to kill them, not to make them more unhealthy, and the response is to zip tie them and treat them like criminals. It's I would say it's a low point for America, but we're hitting like 10 of those a day.
Yeah, and I think that I say this with respect to U.S. Capitol Police, but I'm not really sure they actually knew what to do in this situation because typically officers, having spent 15 years working for DC Police as a reserve, typically you know what to do if there is an arrest and it involves a wheelchair. But a number of people in wheelchairs, so they zip tied these individuals and they still had them driving their own wheelchairs to wherever they took them. So like, I don't know. I mean, the zip
I mean,
tying was like seemed a little unnecessary to me if you're going to process somebody in a wheelchair and still have them drive their own wheelchair.
Yeah. I'm not going to trash the Capitol Police because, frankly, there's enough of that going on these days.
No, same
But
here.
at the
And
same
I
time,
think,
there's
look,
got to
with
be a
that
better
said,
fucking way to do that.
yeah, and I think that look, I think you and I are in agreement as everyone else, right? Like these are folks that came that knew there was probably a good chance that they were going to be arrested
Yeah, they're
doing
making
what
good
they were
trouble.
doing to speak out, right?
Yeah, they're getting in good
But
trouble.
they also understood that that when this happened, maybe it would shine a bigger light because you know this is not something that you see often. But to see it on video was heartbreaking, incredible, and you know, especially with an agency that has already had a real blow to them over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I know. I was watching a movie last night, Angels and Demons. It's one of those Dan Brown books. They turned into a movie with Tom Hanks. And there's this great scene at the end where they come face to face with this assassin who's been killing all these priests. And he says to him, "Be careful. These are men of God." And I just thought that was so perfect. It's, you know, the people in the wheelchair should be very, very leery of the Christians on Capitol Hill that are sent there to help them. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. By the way, through this whole process, because this is new and we have a link, I now know how we can, while we're waiting on Substack to do it, we can share the questions live by doing a third share screen in the future. So next week we can actually just have a third box up, which is just the chat
That's cool.
from Substack. Yeah, that'll be great. But there's already been about 800 people on Substack. So thank you guys. Wherever you're joining from,
Yeah.
YouTube
Man, how y'all holding
or
up? Is everybody okay? Like everything's a fucking mess, and like half the country's under a heat wave. I just want to check in on your melons, check in on your noggins, make sure y'all are doing all right.
there's a lot of people that have been saying they wake up every day with a pit in their stomach. A lot of people saying that they're doing great. Juanita says, "I couldn't have been prouder of my disability community." Yeah, Jean to Juanita of my disability community. That's what she was saying. And Judy Cross, they're trying to silence every voice. Speak up, everyone, and tell them we still have a voice.
Damn right. Be loud.
Just looking through.
Yeah.
It was a courageous act on their part. Just a lot of support for the
Yeah, it was.
folks
Well,
who
I
are
mean,
now
that's it.
weighing
That's
in.
you see a lot of people getting in good trouble, and that's the thing. Like when you see the worst of America, it can be so tempting to just throw up your hands and say, "Shit, we're done for." Like there's nothing left worth saving. But then you see the people that do that, the people that put everything on the line, the people who are willing to go to jail, and it's like, no, we're not done yet. There is still a pulse in this country that stands for the righteous shit. And I don't know. That's what's keeping me going. I wake up with that pit in my stomach too, and then I see people out there doing that shit, and I'm just like, all right, no more complaining. I got to get to work. I'm not going to get, I'm not, I'm not going to get shamed for not doing nothing.
Yeah, no, I mean, trust me, I know that you're always ready to work. Not going to doubt you on that one. Michelle Brody says, thanks. My anxiety is on overtime. Leah says, can't sleep. Catherine says, I'm doing okay because of people like you two. That's very sweet. Thank
That's
you.
nice.
Laura says, not okay, Sam, but doing our best. And thank you guys for keeping us sane. Jan Brown, the days are tough, but we're not going to let them win. Phyllis, it's a seesaw of hopeful and hopeless.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I feel
Michelle,
that.
how do you guys handle stress?
Well, I mean, you can tell by my complexion that I was in the ocean surfing for 2 hours today. It's
You
basically
look a little more like balanced, though.
Oh, good, good, good. I'm
Less radish this
less
week.
radishy today.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am like greedy for the things that keep me sane. I think I mentioned Melissa McCarthy movies. I've been doing a rewatch of the sitcom Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just because it's a very feel good, well cast, funny show. I look for distractions really wherever I can find them. Because if you just watch this shit and follow this shit all day, every day, your face is going to melt like those Nazis at the end of Indiana Jones. And I don't know. I got to look away sometimes. I feel you though. I feel when you say you're not sleeping, when you say you wake up with a pit in your stomach, I get it. I was reminded the other day, people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but we started our newsletter the first time Trump was in office. We started it in early 2019. And one of the expressions we used a lot back then when we were first getting started is if you're going through hell, keep going. And that's what I that's what I would say. That's where we are right now. We're in hell. We are in absolute hell. And the idea that we would just sit down and stay here is the craziest possible thing we could do. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep moving because it's the only way we're going to get out of this shit. Um, some days that's harder than others. I get that. And on those days, you should rest and let somebody else pick up the weight. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, but the purpose of our newsletter over and over and over again is to make sure none of us, including the two of us, ever feels alone in this nightmare. Nothing you're feeling, are you feeling alone? I promise you. Whatever rage, whatever sadness, whatever fear you're feeling, there are millions with an M, people out there feeling the same way. And so they've got the guns, but we got the numbers. So that's what I would say is just remember you're not doing this alone.
Yeah, and so many people are saying thank you, like this newsletter helps, but I think that we've said this a bunch of times, but we do this because you guys keep it going and help us. So for that answer, I was going to say I got the dogs, I got the kids, but like with that brings a broken AC and lots of lawn mowing and all that other stuff. But it's kind of nice just to mow a lawn and not think about anything else. And Sam's got a nice little setup in his backyard now too. I think he's still building an umbrella and a table.
It's going to take a little while.
Yeah.
I am not handy at all. I do want to say though, like I've seen readers who are isolated, who maybe live in a community where there are not as many people who feel the same way they do, or maybe they're a little older. They don't have the support system around them that maybe you or I do. Those are the people specifically. I want to be very damn clear. You might physically but you're definitely not alone. We write that newsletter. We put out this newsletter so, for community. So none of us goes through this shit by ourselves because it's too much. It's too much for one person. But I see those emails, I see those comments, and I wish there was a way to give those people a hug and say, hey, I see you. I promise you're not doing this by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think what's interesting is now that Substack is trying some new stuff and we have this stream, we're going to be able to do more, right? And we're going to be able to, the platform that we're on streaming to you guys from today, we're going to be able to have guests on a lot easier. So over the next couple weeks, it's going to be fun to like put a face to names if, folks are willing to come on. The other thing
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Sam, is again, someone who spent 15 years working with the DC Police Department as a reserve. I am not surprised at how much a world of a hurt that ICE is in right now. They are very siloed. They don't have 4,000 officers on the street with them. And so, I would say what gives me hope, as long as people are being careful and safe, is seeing people standing up to 2 or 3 people that show up with a mask or hit their car or whatever. This is not, 400 million people in this country, however many officers, they're traveling in silos, mostly with rental cars. They're crashing them. They're total disregard for life. We saw a video yesterday of them throwing tear gas on their way out and smoke bombs.
They're fucking cowards. I mean, they're cowards.
Totally. And the one thing is, as a law enforcement officer, if someone asks for your name and for your badge number and for your ID, you provide that information. And a badge is basically worthless. What matters is that sort of driver's license, badge number, and the name. And I still have yet to see one video of a single person out there with ICE providing that information to somebody when they ask.
No, it's appalling. And you're right. I mean, I see so many of my fellow Angelenos who are just not putting up with that shit. And they are cussing these guys to hell and back, which is exactly what they deserve. By the way,
as our fire departments, we're starting to see fire departments now use their engines to drive these vehicles out of town.
Oh, really? I had not seen that. The only fire
There's 2 incredible videos. I'll send it to you. I believe it was California, but they maybe San Francisco. But anyways, the fire department came out and they brought all of their vehicles out and they drove ICE right out of the town.
Hell yeah. I mean, I will tell you, at the No Kings protest that I went to, which was in Los Feliz, Los Angeles, every time a city bus went by, they would honk like crazy and we were all very excited. And then a fire truck went by and it did the same thing. And it was such a great feeling. It was like, okay, there are people that are on the inside of the institutions who are with us. By the way, I wanted to say, if anybody's ever curious about the dynamic between Adam and I, or Adam and me, he spent 15 years as a cop. I've spent most of my life as a juvenile delinquent. And to me, that's what makes us such a great fit, is we really represent both law-abiding citizens and the people who want to throw a brick through the White House window, which I would not do, and I'm not endorsing in any way.
As a former law enforcement officer, I can also try THC and other things like that now, which is nice.
Oh, good for you. Yeah,
you got to enjoy yourself.
Hey,
so
it's neither one of us drink anymore, but yeah, that little bit of THC can be it's the mother's little helper of the Trump era.
It is. And by the way, I got my license in Virginia for the 1 or 2 haters that might be tuning in. I'm good to go.
I live in LA.
Legal.
I don't need a license. I just need money in my.
But I have it, so feel free to check that out. Any happy ending today?
Well, I mean, I had a personal happy ending. I saw some dolphins this morning. We're continuing to see more and more marine life returning to Santa Monica Bay after the fires, which for me is just such a good, like a welcome thing to see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it makes me sound kind of out of touch when I'm talking about shit like that, but just
it's nice.
In my life, it's a really welcome thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron's 16 now, but Paxton's too. So I would like
crazy.
Dolphins to be around. Yeah.
I can't believe Cameron's 16, man. God, that makes us 1,000.
I know, and he's like the best older brother. But we had a ton of people tune in from, and they're still on, from Substack and YouTube. We're also, I think next week we're just going to let it go on other platforms as well. We'll do Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and so forth. But we're primarily doing this for Substack. So thank you guys so much. If you're watching from YouTube and you're not on our newsletter yet, please check out thealtmedia.com. I'll make sure we have like a different setup next week with banners and then the comments from Substack. But
I'm
any
gonna have
final
to get a
words?
background at some point, aren't I?
Yeah, or just well, it's so funny. Like I don't know, 5 minutes ago, Sam's like, for those that don't know, I'm not really tech savvy or whatever. I was gonna say, yeah, I once ordered Sam a printer, and he asked how to set it up. Um, and I don't know if you remember that, Sam,
I
the
do.
printer.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm familiar with that as well, but I can get you a green screen, and then from here remotely, I could probably make you a nice background.
Oh my gosh, that's so fancy. I feel like I could just hang something on the wall or something, like
a
get a
green
plant.
sheet. Yeah, a plant, a fake plant.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Actually, it's all white. So instead of green, we could do a white chroma key, but you just can't wear a white shirt.
I know I'm wearing a white shirt with a white background, and then my face is like completely red. It's quite the
But that's
contrast.
good for your white background because as long as your shirt color is different, then we can just pretend it's a green screen because your your face is not going to affect anything.
Oh, that's nice.
Just stay red. All right. Well, hey, this was fantastic. I love this.
This is like one of my favorite things to do. This is like the highlight of my week. I love y'all's questions so much, and I'm hoping next week we can get to even more of them. Thank you everybody for reading us, for fighting, for protesting, for keeping us sane and reminding us we're not the only fucking people who are seeing this nightmare. Love y'all, really do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll have some more fun stuff next week. I mean, now that we can do this, I mean, so many options. So, all right. You guys are the best.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
Later.
See you guys. I'm going to leave this open, by the way, for 30 seconds here, just for anybody that wants to. Actually, we'll do 60 seconds for anybody that wants to continue to chat in the comment in case they're in the middle of a conversation.
I'm going to use the.
Say that again.
I was saying I'm going to use this 60 seconds to again endorse the show Andor.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, no, if you have Disney Plus, I can't recommend it enough. Yeah, it's a Star Wars show, but it just does not feel like Star Wars. It is a show about how everyday people get pushed too far and join a rebellion. And I know a lot of people are sort of, they're living through this shit, so they don't want to watch it on TV. But I'm telling you, I came away from it feeling very hopeful. So if you have access to it, I can't recommend it enough.
I love that. We'll make sure that everybody does check that out. And then I've just noticed that so many people continue to comment here. So we'll give them, I don't know, right? 60 seconds. I'm going to put this up here.
Talk about whatever you want to.
Well, we have to go off screen, I think.
Oh.
And that way people know how long they have. But I got our website up in case you're on YouTube or any other platform and you're not on the newsletter.
Damn,
go to thealtmedia.com. We're starting to figure it out. It's very exciting.
Impressive. I'm kind of amazed you got that up on the screen. Nice work.
Thank you. All right, I'm cutting us off. I'm doing the countdown. See you, Sam.
Bye.